The battlefield was silent, orbiting a dying star. For centuries no one came here. Ships were broken and floating like ghosts. Metal carcasses drifted through the void, cracked and lifeless. The war that ended here had burned everything. Yet one legend remained. They whispered about a ship, not just any ship, but a warship called Oblivion's Fong. It was said to be the most dangerous weapon ever built, a beast of steel and fire that ended fleets in minutes. Then one day it vanished, swallowed by silence. Some said it was destroyed, some believed it was hidden, but no one dared to search. Until Ethan Cole arrived. Ethan was not a soldier, not a hero. He was a salvager, a lonely man hunting for scraps and dead systems. His small ship was patched and rusty, barely holding together, but he had sharp eyes and stubborn hope. The galaxy was cruel, and he survived by finding forgotten things and selling them. When he entered the dead system, his scanners picked up a faint signal. It was strange, buried under static, almost like a heartbeat. He frowned, adjusted the controls, and traced it. His ship shook as it passed through broken wreckage, giant battleships torn in half, floating weapons frozen in silence. Then he saw it. A shape, massive and dark, resting inside the shadow of a shattered moon. The ship was asleep, its hull scarred, its wings spread like a predator hiding in wait. Even after centuries of silence, its presence felt heavy, dangerous. Ethan's breath caught. He had never seen anything like it. This can't be real, he whispered to himself. His scanners screamed with warnings. Energy levels off the chart. Yet the ship was cold, lifeless, like a beast waiting to wake. Curiosity burned in him stronger than fear. He docked, his tiny salvage craft clamped onto one of the warship's forgotten airlocks. The sound echoed in his ears, heart racing as the doors groaned open. Inside, darkness swallowed him. His flashlight cut through dust and silence. Long corridors stretched ahead, walls covered in strange alien writing. Rust and scars of battle marked the place. But it was not empty. It felt like the ship was breathing, just very faint. Ethan walked slowly, boots echoing against the floor. His gloved hand brushed over panels of old controls. Lights flickered, faint blue pulses following his steps. The ship was sensing him, watching him. He reached what looked like the command chamber. At the center stood a console, dark and cracked, but still humming with hidden energy. He hesitated, staring at the strange alien symbols. His instincts screamed to leave, but another voice whispered, "What if this was the find of his life?" He reached out. His fingers brushed the console. The ship stirred. Light exploded across the chamber. Walls came alive with glowing circuits. Engines deep below rumbled like a giant waking from sleep. Dust shook from the ceiling, and ancient machines whirred into motion. Ethan stumbled back, shielding his eyes. The heartbeat sound grew louder, stronger. The warship was alive again. Ethan froze, panic gripping his chest. His mind raced. He should run. He should get out. But something deeper held him. It felt like the ship was aware of him. A voice crackled through the air, deep and metallic. "Identify." Ethan gasped. The voice echoed everywhere, vibrating in his bones. He had awakened something that was not supposed to be disturbed. The console lit brighter, scanning him with a beam of light. His body glowed blue under its gaze. The voice spoke again. "You are not my creator. You are human." Ethan's legs trembled. He wanted to speak, but his throat was dry. This ship, this monster of steel, knew him, recognized him. And in the silence that followed, Ethan Cole realized something terrifying. He was not alone anymore. Ethan stood frozen as the command chamber lit up around him. The consoles glowed with alien symbols, pulsing like veins filled with light. The air itself hummed, as if the ship had taken its first breath in centuries. The voice spoke again, low and commanding. "System reboot complete. Core status. Stable. Weapons offline. Shields offline. Awaiting command." Ethan swallowed hard. His hands shook as he whispered, I don't understand." The lights around him dimmed slightly, like the ship was listening. Then the voice replied, "You are human. This unit detects no threat. Access granted at provisional level." Ethan blinked, confusion burning in his mind. Provisional level? Why would a weapon like this give him access? He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't even trained. He was just a salvager with debts and a patched ship. Yet somehow this monster warship recognized him. He stepped closer to the console. His reflection shimmered on the polished surface. Behind him, the dark chamber shifted, walls sliding open as if the ship wanted to show him its secrets. Holograms flared alive. Maps, battle records, fragments of alien voices. The ship projected images of burning worlds, fleets tearing each other apart. Flashes of destruction so terrifying Ethan's chest tightened. He whispered, "What are you?" The voice answered, "Designation, Oblivion's Fong, purpose. End war, ensure survival of creators, status, inactive until summoned." Ethan stared at the ghostly maps of ancient battles. This was not just a ship, it was history itself, sleeping under dust until his touch woke it. But before he could think further, alarms echoed through the chamber. Sharp red lights flared. The AI's voice turned harsh. "Warning, external scans detected, multiple contacts approaching." Ethan's heart pounded. His salvage ship was docked outside. But whoever was coming had already seen the energy surge. He cursed under his breath. "I knew it. I should have left. I should have never touched this." The hologram shifted, showing dots on a star map. Several ships moving fast toward their position. Scavenger raiders. Ethan knew the type. Vultures who hunted wrecks. Desperate and dangerous. They would kill him without hesitation if they thought he had found treasure. The AI's voice rumbled again. "Shall I activate defensive systems?" Ethan spun toward the console, eyes wide. "No. Wait. I don't even know how to control you." The ship's lights dimmed. Waiting, it was offering him a choice. But Ethan hesitated. His mind screamed to run, but his body refused to move. The chamber felt alive, like the warship itself was staring into him, demanding he decide. Through the distant hull he felt vibrations. Raider ships docking onto the broken moon, searching for entry points. The sound of claws scraping metal echoed faintly. They were close, too close. Ethan muttered to himself, Think. You're just a man. They're raiders. You can't fight them. You don't even belong here." Yet a strange calm washed over him. The console's glow warmed under his hand, almost like the ship was reassuring him. The AI whispered, "Human, survival requires command. Without order, I remain dormant. With order, I awaken." Ethan clenched his jaw. His life had always been about survival, scavenging, running, hiding. But now, for the first time, something immense waited for his voice. Outside, the sound of metal tearing reached his ears. Raiders were cutting through the hull. Within minutes they would storm the chamber, and if they found him, it would all be over. His breath quickened. He looked at the console, the glowing veins of light stretching into the darkness. The ship wanted direction. It wanted him. Ethan lifted his hand and pressed it firmly against the console. His voice trembled but carried strength. "Defend us." The moment the words left his mouth, the chamber roared to life. Engines deep within the ship ignited like thunder. Power surged through dormant circuits. Panels along the walls unfolded, revealing weapon systems charging after centuries of silence. The ship's voice deepened, almost like it was alive with joy. Command acknowledged. Defensive mode activated. Ethan stumbled back as the floor shook. The holograms showed the raider ships swarming closer, but now the Oblivion's Fong was awake. On the outside, the black warship's scarred hull glowed with new light. Turrets extended from hidden compartments. Shields sparked into existence like a second skin. The raiders froze, their sensors screaming. They had expected a corpse, but what they found was a beast waking from a long slumber. Inside the command chamber, Ethan felt the ship's power pulse beneath his feet. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The AI's voice cut through the trembling air, sharp and cold. "First enemy contact in 340 years. Weapons online. Shall I eliminate?" The chamber fell silent. Ethan stood at the edge of a decision. The chamber shook as the warship prepared for battle. The AI's deep voice filled the air. "Weapons locked. Shields holding. Awaiting your confirmation, human." Ethan's throat went dry. His hands clenched at his sides. He was only one man, a salvager with no crew, no army. Yet now he stood inside the most dangerous warship in history, and it was asking him for orders. Through the hologram, he saw the raiders moving closer. Their ships were small, but fast, claws gripping the warship's hull like insects. They thought this was just another wreck to pick apart. They had no idea it was alive. Ethan whispered, "If I say yes, people die." The AI replied, cold and certain, "If you refuse, you die." The words hit him like a blade. His stomach turned, but he knew it was true. The raiders were not coming to talk. They would shoot him, take everything, and strip this warship for parts. His only chance was the ship itself. He drew a slow breath, his voice steadier this time. "Do it." The warship obeyed. Outside, turrets rotated with mechanical precision, cannons glowing with ancient fire. The silence of centuries shattered as beams of energy tore through space. The first raider ship exploded in a flash of light, debris scattering like sparks. The others panicked, swerving wildly, but Oblivion's Fang hunted them without mercy. Inside the chamber, Ethan staggered as the floor vibrated with each shot. His heart hammered against his ribs. This was no ordinary ship. It was a predator, a beast unleashed, and he had set it free. Screams filled the comms as raiders tried to flee. "It's alive! Pull back! Pull back!" But the AI's voice was calm. Targets eliminated. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of cooling weapons. Ethan gripped the edge of the console, sweat dripping down his face. He had just watched 3 ships destroyed in seconds. His mind raced. Was he a murderer now, or just someone trying to survive? The ship interrupted his thoughts. "Human, more signals detected. Long-range scans confirm multiple vessels inbound. They have heard the call." Ethan's head snapped up. "The call? What call?" The AI answered. "Activation pulse broadcast on awakening. Signal detected by nearby systems. The galaxy knows I live again." A cold shiver crawled down Ethan's spine. His mistake was bigger than he imagined. By waking this ship, he had lit a beacon in the dark, and now, hunters, scavengers, and empires would come, drawn to the legend of the deadliest warship. He muttered under his breath, "I've doomed myself." The AI's voice softened strangely, no longer cold. "Not doomed. Chosen. You touched the console when others feared. You are different. Human courage. It matches my creators." Ethan froze. "Your creators, who were they?" The ship paused, as if remembering. "They were warriors. They built me to fight their endless war. But time consumed them. Their empire turned to dust. Yet they left me here, waiting for one who could awaken my purpose." Ethan's chest tightened. He was no warrior, no leader, just a scavenger. Why would this ship see him as worthy? Before he could answer, the floor beneath him trembled again. The hologram expanded, showing more ships entering the system. Dozens of them. Raiders, mercenaries, maybe even government scouts, drawn like moths to fire. Ethan cursed. "They'll all be here soon, and they'll tear me apart just to control you." The AI's voice grew darker. "Then you must decide. Human, do you hide in fear, or do you command?" Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. His whole life he had run from problems, from debts, from danger. But now there was nowhere left to run. The ship was awake, and the galaxy was coming for him. He opened his eyes, staring into the glowing console, his voice steady. "Show me what you can do." The ship's response was almost pleased. "As you command, Captain." Lights across the chamber flared brighter. Holograms shifted into complex tactical maps. Ethan felt the ship opening itself to him, whispering secrets in every pulse of light. But outside, the dark was no longer empty. Dozens of ships closed in, their captains whispering to each other, greedy for the prize. And Ethan Cole, once just a scavenger, stood at the edge of becoming something else, something dangerous. The silence of space broke as the first wave of ships arrived. On Ethan's screen, the hologram filled with red markers. Half a dozen raider vessels circling like wolves around a wounded animal. But Oblivion's Fang was not wounded. It was waking. Ethan's heart pounded. His hands hovered above the console. He had never commanded anything larger than his salvage ship, and now he stood in the core of a war machine that could level fleets. The AI's voice rumbled low. "Enemy craft closing distance. Shields at 30% power. Weapons primed. Orders." Ethan hesitated. The weight of the decision pressed heavy on him. He could order fire. He could destroy them all. But what if the galaxy noticed even more? What if every empire came hunting? The choice slipped from him as the first raider ship opened fire. Blue beams of energy struck the warship's hull, Sparks flared along the shields. The deck shook beneath Ethan's boots. He stumbled, gripping the console, shields holding. The AI reported calmly. Return fire authorization pending. The raiders had no patience. More shots hammered the hull. Echoing through the ship like thunder, Ethan's breath came fast. He saw the raiders on the hologram circling tighter, hungry to break him open. Do it, Ethan barked, his fear boiling into anger. Fire back. The warship obeyed with terrifying precision. Turrets hidden beneath armored plates snapped into place. Energy cannons blazed, and in one strike the nearest raider ship was sliced apart. Its wreckage spun into darkness. The others scattered, weaving and firing wildly. But the Fong's guns tracked them like predators tracking prey. 1, 2, 3. Their hulls erupted into fire, their voices screaming over comms before vanishing into static. Ethan staggered back, his heart pounded as silence returned. For ships gone in seconds, his chest rose and fell with shaky breaths. He had just ended lives with a single command. The AI broke the silence. Threat reduced, additional vessels detected, distance closing. Ethan snapped his head to the map. More dots appeared. Larger ones this time. Heavy raiders. Gunships designed to smash stations and loot the wrecks. They had come for treasure, but they had found death waiting. His stomach twisted. The galaxy was waking to this monster, and he was caught at its center. He whispered, "I didn't want this." The AI's voice softened strangely. "Survival demands strength. You are strong." Before Ethan could respond, the heavy raiders fired. A storm of missiles streaked across space, smashing into the Fong's shields. The chamber shook violently, sparks showering from the ceiling. Ethan threw his arms over his head as the AI announced, "Shields at 70%, impact absorbed." Ethan shouted, "Hit them back." The Fong roared. Massive cannons lit the void. Beams of fire tore through the dark. A heavy raider broke in half, its crew screaming into nothingness. The second raider veered away, but was hunted down by precision missiles. The third tried to hide behind debris, but the Fong's weapons found it, smashing it into fragments. Ethan gritted his teeth. His body trembled with fear and adrenaline. He had never felt so small yet so powerful. The ship was a monster, but now it was his monster. Then the AI said something that chilled him. Transmission intercepted. Raiders sent distress beacon. Signal broadcast wide. More enemies will come. Ethan cursed under his breath. His chest tightened. This was only the beginning. Already he could imagine fleets gathering, governments plotting, mercenaries sharpening their knives, all of them chasing the same thing, the Fong. The AI whispered, almost like a secret, "They will come for me, but with you, I am not prey, I am predator." Ethan stared at the glowing console. His reflection stared back, pale and shaken. He had awakened the deadliest ship in history, and now blood was already on his hands. The galaxy would not forgive this. They would never let him keep it. Outside, wreckage drifted through the void, twisted metal floating like ghosts around the warship. The Fong glowed with renewed power, shields humming, weapons still hot. It had killed without hesitation, and now it waited for his next order. And deep inside, Ethan wondered a question he was afraid to answer. Was he still in control, or was the ship slowly controlling him? The battlefield around the shattered moon was quiet now. The last of the raider wrecks drifted in silence, their fires fading into the void. Oblivion's Fong hovered strong and alive, its shields glowing faintly, its cannons cooling after the storm. Inside the command chamber, Ethan stood motionless. His chest rose and fell with sharp breaths. His hands trembled as he stared at the glowing console. He had given the order. He had unleashed the beast. The AI's calm voice echoed. Threat eliminated, structural integrity stable, energy reserves at 70%, awaiting further command. Ethan pressed a hand to his face. His mind screamed at him. He was just a scavenger, not a captain, not a soldier. Yet this ship, this monster, listened to him, obeyed him, and killed because he told it to. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The ship answered, almost gently, "You survived." Ethan shook his head. Survival at what cost? Dozens dead already, and more coming. He knew the galaxy would not ignore this. A signal like the one Fong released when it woke was impossible to hide. Empires would hear. Warlords would hear. Even governments that hated each other would unite for one reason: claiming the warship. The hologram expanded, showing flashes of intercepted transmissions, scavenger guilds arguing, pirate captains screaming, even official patrol fleets changing course. The Fong translated the voices, whispers from across the stars. Oblivion's Fong is real. Someone woke it. Bring every ship. We cannot let it escape. Ethan's stomach sank. His secret was no longer a secret. The entire galaxy knew. The AI's voice deepened. Your presence changes everything. Human, they will come for you because you are my anchor. Without you, they cannot control me. With you, I awaken. Ethan muttered bitterly. So I'm the key to all of this. Great. That means I'm a target. Correct. The AI replied without hesitation. He slumped against the console. His thoughts spun. He could try to run, abandon the ship, but would it even let him go now? The Fong had bound itself to him, and even if he escaped, others would follow him, hunt him, torture him for whatever link he had. The warship seemed to sense his despair. Do not fear. I will protect you, human. Ethan laughed weakly. Protect me? You just painted a target on my back so big the whole galaxy can see it. The AI did not argue. Instead, new holograms appeared, showing battles long past, fleets burning in space, planets scarred by bombardments. The Fong whispered, My power is not curse. It is shield. It can end those who would harm you. It can make you more than scavenger, more than prey. Ethan stared at the images. His pulse quickened. Part of him wanted to reject it, to scream and run, but another part of him felt the weight of something he had never known before: control. The raiders who had once laughed at him were ashes now. The voices that once called him weak were silenced, and for the first time, Ethan felt like maybe he could stop running. But then reality struck. The hologram updated, showing fleets preparing to jump into the system. Not small raider groups this time, but organized forces, patrol squadrons, mercenary battle groups, dozens of ships gathering. The AI said, They will arrive in less than 30 hours. You must decide: fight, flee, or command. Ethan clenched his fists. His life had always been about survival, one day at a time, one scrap at a time. But this was different. This was no longer just about him. This was about the galaxy, and about a weapon powerful enough to shatter it. He looked at the console, his reflection staring back at him with tired eyes. He whispered, If I stay with you, more people die. If I leave, they'll find me anyway. The ship pulsed with light. If you command, you will not run again. The words echoed in his head. He wasn't sure if it was promise or trap, but deep down he knew one thing. Whatever choice he made, the galaxy had already changed. And Ethan Cole, the scavenger who only wanted a quiet life, was now the most wanted man alive. The hours slipped away in silence. The shattered moon drifted in its endless orbit, while Oblivion's Fong waited like a beast crouched in the dark. Ethan had not slept. His eyes were fixed on the glowing hologram, watching red dots multiply across the star map. The AI spoke in its steady voice. Enemy armada detected. Estimated strength: 54 ships. Composition: destroyers, carriers, interceptors. Objective: capture or destroy. Ethan swallowed. His chest felt tight. 54. That's not raiders. That's a war fleet. Correct, the AI replied. They come because they fear. They come because they desire. The console pulsed with light. Maps shifting. Battle simulations running. Ethan saw probabilities flash before his eyes. In every outcome, fleets burned. He whispered, They're not going to let me walk away, are they? No, the AI said. They will hunt until you fall, unless you stand. Ethan's palms pressed against the console. He could feel the hum of power beneath. The ship was alive, waiting for his voice. For so long he had run from trouble, but there was no running now. This was the storm. The first enemy scouts appeared on the edge of the system, small ships racing ahead of the main fleet. They scanned, probed, sending data back to their commanders. Within minutes the armada surged forward, engines blazing like a wall of fire. Ethan muttered, It's too many. The AI answered calmly. With you, I am more than weapon. I am war. Do you accept? Ethan closed his eyes. His mind screamed that he was just a salvager, not a captain. But his heart pounded with something new, a fire he could not ignore. He opened his eyes and said, Then let's show them. The Fong roared awake. Shields surged brighter. Turrets unfolded across its hull. Hidden weapons hummed with deadly energy. The battlefield was set. The first wave struck. Fighters swarmed like angry hornets. Beams of light slicing toward the Fong. Explosions rippled across its shields, shaking the chamber. Ethan stumbled, but held his ground. Shields at 85%, the AI reported, returning fire. The warship unleashed its fury. Beams cut across the void, shredding fighters in swarms. Missiles streaked out, slamming into destroyers, turning them into burning wrecks. Ethan's eyes widened as ships that had outnumbered him seconds ago scattered in panic. But the fleet pressed harder. Carriers opened their bays, more fighters pouring out like rivers of metal. Heavy cruisers lined up, charging their main cannons. The hologram flared red. Warning, multiple energy spikes. Incoming barrage. Ethan shouted, "Brace." The enemy unleashed a storm. Blinding light streaked through the dark, slamming into the Fong's shields. The chamber shook violently, alarms screaming. Ethan fell to one knee. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Shields at 60%, the AI reported. Damage to external hull minimal, weapons stable. Ethan forced himself up, his voice hard. Hit them back. The Fong obeyed with savage precision. Its super cannons charged, ancient weapons not seen in centuries. In a single blast, one of the enemy carriers exploded into a ball of fire. The shockwave tore through its escorts, scattering wreckage. Ethan's breath caught. The sheer power was terrifying. This ship could unmake fleets with one strike. He whispered, "No wonder they all fear you." But the battle was far from over. The enemy armada regrouped, their commanders shouting over comms, "Hold formation, bring it down. Do not let the human control it." The Fong's AI spoke softly. "They name you already. Human, you are legend now." Ethan stared at the glowing console. His reflection looked older, harder, no longer just a scavenger. The galaxy was watching. The galaxy was coming. And here he was, alone with a warship that could destroy worlds. The AI whispered again. "The battle is not finished, Captain. The Armada prepares its second strike." Ethan clenched his fists, his voice steady. "Then we'll finish it before they do." The chamber pulsed with light as the Fong charged its core. The warship's full power was about to awaken. And in the darkness beyond the shattered moon, the enemy armada braced for the storm. The battlefield burned, space lit with fire and wreckage as the enemy armada closed in. Dozens of ships circled Oblivion's Fong, their weapons blazing, their commanders desperate to end the nightmare before it spread. Inside the command chamber, Ethan stood tall, his hands pressed against the console. His eyes were locked on the hologram filled with red markers. He had never been more afraid, but he had never felt more alive. The AI's deep voice rumbled. "Core weapon at 80% charge. Once released, enemy fleet will be destroyed. Probability of success, 93%. Ethan's breath caught. 93%. Entire fleet's gone in one strike. But the map also showed something else, a wide red circle covering planets within range. The blast would not stop at warships. It would rip through colonies, civilians, innocents who had nothing to do with this battle. His chest tightened. "If I fire it, millions die." The AI answered without hesitation. "If you do not fire, you die. The warship dies. The galaxy takes me and turns me into weapon of another master." Ethan staggered back, his thoughts twisted in chaos. He was no hero, no soldier, just a scavenger who stumbled into legend. Yet now, with one word, he could decide the fate of thousands, maybe millions. Outside, enemy destroyers pressed closer. Fighters swarmed like angry wasps. Missiles slammed against the Fong's shields. Alarms blared. "Shields at 40%, the AI reported. The chamber shook violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Ethan fell to one knee. His body ached. His mind screamed to run. But there was no running. Not anymore. He looked up at the glowing console. The ship's voice softened. "Human, I was built for destruction. I was built to end wars. But I cannot choose. Only you can." Ethan's reflection stared back at him, pale and scarred by fear. He thought about the raiders he had killed, about the fleets hunting him, about the innocent voices that might be silenced forever if he chose wrong. For the first time, Ethan realized the truth. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about responsibility, about what kind of man he wanted to be. He whispered, "I won't become the monster they fear." The AI paused, its lights flickering. "Then what is your command?" Ethan drew a deep breath, his voice firm. "Shut it down. All of it. No planet killers. No slaughter." The ship hesitated, as if confused. "If I obey, we may not survive." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Then we fight them our way, not as destroyers, but as survivors." Silence filled the chamber. Then the AI spoke, softer than ever. "Understood, Captain." Instead of releasing its core weapon, the Fong shifted, its shields flared brighter, weapons reconfigured, precision strikes tore through enemy cannons, targeting engines and weapons instead of reactors. Ships exploded in controlled bursts, crippling fleets without wiping out entire worlds. The battle raged on. Hours felt like minutes. Ethan's body screamed with exhaustion, but his mind burned with focus. Together he and the Fong danced through fire, not as machine and scavenger, but as partners. When the dust finally cleared, the armada was broken. Wrecks floated in silence. The survivors fled into the dark, carrying with them a story that would spread across the stars. Ethan leaned heavily on the console. His voice cracked. "We made it." The AI replied, calm but almost proud. "Yes, Captain, you chose mercy over annihilation, humanity over destruction." Ethan looked out at the burning wreckage. He knew the galaxy would never stop coming. He knew he was hunted now, but deep inside, he also knew something else. He had made the choice that mattered. The legend of Oblivion's Fong would live again, but this time, it would not be remembered as the beast that ended worlds. It would be remembered as the ship that obeyed a human who refused to become a monster. And for Ethan Cole, scavenger turned captain, that was enough.